Hi, my name is Keni, and today's news feature is Innocent or Guilty? Her True Story. Today, we are going to talk about white-collar crime, particularly corporate crime. So, what is corporate crime? Some scholars, like Klinard and Yeager, describe corporate crime as, quote, offenses committed by corporate officials for the corporation and the offenses of the corporation itself, close quote. The idea of crimes committed by the corporate crime has been used to identify those crimes committed to benefit the corporation where the employee works. So what distinguishes a crime in the corporation system from all other white-collar crimes? To answer the question, Edwin Sutherland said, when he referred to the white-collar crime, he said, crime committed by a person of respectability and high social status in the course of his occupation. White-collar crime are those crimes in the housing system, in the cyber system, in the economic system, in the educational system, system of social control, healthcare system, and sales-related occupations. Corporate crime is the corporate employees' illicit actions conducted to benefit the company from which they worked. And these are crimes done by the corporate system. Corporate crimes are also occupational crimes. Conceptualizing a corporation, if it is incorporated, it means that it has a legally recognized status. A corporation is not only a collection of people, as some researchers say, but a collection of replaceable people, which is what it makes individuals to break the law. These people are arranged in a hierarchical system from workers at the bottom, direct supervisors, managers and administrators, a corporate board, and a chief executive officer or president of the board that exists for profits, growth, and success. Corporate crimes are also called organizational crime, organizational deviance, and organizational misconduct. Organizational misconduct are violations of laws, rules, or administrative regulations. Corporate crime are committed for the organization, by the organization, and against the organization, as well as by an individual. Many corporate crimes are committed in groups as part of the organizational decision-making process. Consequences of corporate crime are devastating. Misdeeds of corporations are more rarely defined as criminally illegal. Statistics tells us that reporters do not define corporate misconduct as deviant or criminal when they are actually deviant and criminal. Corporate crime is the type of white-collar crime among the least studied and addressed by the academic journals, and less scrutinized by the public as well. Yet, it is one of the most devastating ones, and it could harm many, if not millions, of people in our society. For example, corporate crime is less studied in criminal justice journals than other topics like juveniles, index crimes, the topic of race, crimes committed by women or crimes committed against women, the topic of drugs or DUIs or DWIs, or perception of crime or perception or representation of crime, or topics like guns or white-collar crimes and gangs. In March 2004, American mogul Martha Stewart, known for her magazine and TV show on cooking, entertaining, and decoration with a $2 billion worth empire, was convicted by the federal government of the US for conspiracy to obstruction of justice, commit perjury, make false statements, including lying to investigators. This was due to an illegal stock trade that she did in 2001 from ink-cloned systems. She was sent to 5 months in prison, for which she did only 4, and 5 months in house arrest, all within a few years of probation. She was found guilty of the charges when she sold her stocks, tipped by her broker assistant, Douglas Fenneul, after knowing that CEO of Inclone, Sam Waxall, and his family had sold all of their stocks when he knew, Sam Waxall, that the FDA would not approve the distribution of his newly developed anti-cancer drug called Erbitux that was later ironically approved by the FDA. Even if Martha Stewart was convicted to the 4 counts she was indicted for, she insisted in her innocence, kept on using all possible media resources, including her own, and repeatedly said that she was innocent from the beginning of the investigation, during the investigation, and after. In one of her many interviews she gave to a wide audience at the beginning of the investigation, and not knowing she was going to be found guilty of felony charges, her statement was, quote, "I am confident I will be exonerated of these baseless charges." When a legal analyst and researcher, Jeffrey Toobin, went to her Turkey Hill farmhouse in 2003 to interview her, he saw her very upset of being investigated and very much preoccupied with her image being destroyed, as her image became the most important part of the case for her. He quoted her, "My public image has been one of trustworthiness, of being a fine editor, a fine purveyor of historic and contemporary information for the homemaker." Close quote. After the trial and before her sentencing, she wrote a letter to her judge, Judge Seidebaum, asking for compassion in her sentencing. She wrote, quote, "I have been building a wonderful company around a core of essential beliefs that are centered on home, family values and traditions, holidays, celebrations, weddings, children, gardening, collecting, homemaking, teaching, and learning." Close quote. In the same letter to her judge, she did not include any possible remorse or repentance for her actions related to the 600 victims that the US Attorney James Keni mentioned, and in that letter she wrote, quote, "I ask that in judging me you consider all the good that I have done, all the contributions I have made, and the intense suffering that has accompanied every single moment of the past 2.5 years." Close quote. Even if Martha Stewart was convicted to the 4 counts, she insisted on her innocence and repeatedly said she has done nothing wrong. After the trial, she went on to open a website she called marthatalks.com. In there, she wrote the following, quote, "I am obviously distressed by the jury's verdict, but I continue to take comfort in knowing that I have done nothing wrong." Close quote. In an article of the Sociological Inquiry Journal, scholars Liu and Miller wrote, quote, The New York Times alone, there were 208 reports about Stewart from the explosion of the scandal in January 2002 until her conviction, July 24, mainly reporting her various claims of innocence and her dismay over the incident. Close quote. On the other side of the story, we have the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, James B. Comey, who did not believe Martha Stewart's statements of her portrayals of her image as innocent and commented to the New York Times, quote, "This criminal case is about lying to the FBI, lying to the SEC, lying to investors," close quote. Constance Hayes, a writer to the New York Times Magazine, also stated the following, open quote, "According to the indictment, Mrs. Stewart lied to the investigators by telling them that she and her stockbroker had previously agreed to sell the shares if their market value fell below a certain price and altered a phone message from the broker in her assistant's computer immediately following a lengthy conversation with her attorney." Close quote. The Associate Regional Director of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Barry Rushcover, was also quoted in the New York Times saying, quote, "From our perspective, this case involved insider trading," said Barry Rushcover, the SEC's Associate Regional Director. "She is a TP. We allege that she knew or recklessly disregarded that and traded on that information." Close quote. In quoting Attorney Comey, James Comey, the New York Times writer Constance Hayes added the following, and it says, quote, "Mr. Comey called the indictment a tragedy for the company and its 600 employees. It's a tragedy that could have been prevented if those two people," referring to Martha Stewart and Sam Watsall, "had only done what parents have taught their children for years," he said, "that if you are in a tight spot, lying is not the way out. Lying is an act with profound consequences." Close quote. Martha Stewart was convicted of 4 counts she was charged for, but she insisted in her innocence and told the world that she has done nothing wrong, trying to repair her already destroyed image, and used most of her time during the investigation to tell the public she was innocent and that she did nothing that would make others think she broke the rules or laws. Should we believe her? Or should we believe the court? If we believe the court, what were the reasons that she could not recognize she did something wrong? What happened to her that she could not face her wrongdoings? Was she socialized into unethical behaviors by working at the corporation? Or was she raised to go her way without punishment? Or did her own personality characteristics attract her to high-level corporate positions? These and other questions are left unanswered by many, and I leave them to you. Keni Ramirez from Jetty Circle for UCD News. Good night.